Our top story this Wednesday, President Trump holds a rally in Duluth, Minnesota as pressure builds on him to stop separating parents and children at the border. Yesterday, the president met with House Republicans on Capitol Hill to discuss immigration reform. House Republicans are currently considering a compromise immigration bill that would provide funding for the wall and reunite families along the border. And protesters confronted Homeland Security Secretary Kirstjen Nielsen last night as she was dining at a Mexican restaurant in D.C. The activists with the Metro D.C. chapter of Democratic Socialists expressed anger over the Trump administration's zero-tolerance approach to illegal immigration. Nielsen strongly defended the policy earlier this week. As the Trump administration faces criticism over its crackdown, members of Montana's congressional delegation are split on the issue. MTM chief political reporter Mike Dennison has that story.
The two Republicans in Montana's delegation, Senator Steve Daines and Congressman Greg Gianforte, are mostly standing behind the president's crackdown on immigration at the Mexican border. However, they also say they don't want children who cross the border to become separated from their parents or guardians.
He's announced what they call the zero-tolerance policy. It's taking a strong stand here to secure our borders. I agree with him in doing that. That's the right thing to do to secure our southern border. Now we need to keep that family unit together and quickly adjudicate their case through the system and determine whether or not their asylum claim is legitimate or not.
Daines says Senate Republicans are working on a bill to increase the number of immigration judges so cases can be cleared in 14 days or less. The bill also would create detention centers that can hold adults and children together while the cases proceed.
Not a single senator, Republican senator I had lunch with today, wants to see children separated from their parents. Not a single one.
Gianforte says two bills on the House floor will comprehensively reform immigration policy and end the practice of separating immigrant kids from their parents. He says he hasn't decided which one he supports.
We need to reform immigration. This is not something created by the current administration, but they have said we are going to enforce the law the way it's written. And in part, he's doing that to put pressure on Congress to get something passed, and we're going to do that this week.
However, the Trump administration made the decision in April to prosecute more border crossing offenses, leading to the separation of kids from parents at the border. Democratic U.S. Senator Jon Tester has denounced the policy.
A deterrent is important too, but a deterrent where you rip kids away from their parents is not acceptable. We've got to figure out a better way than this. This is not something we should be doing as a nation.
Tester is backing a Department of Homeland Security funding bill he says will help beef up border security without having to separate kids from their parents. The bill faces a vote this week in a Senate committee. It's not yet clear which proposals will advance through Congress. Reporting from Helena, Mike Dennison, MTN News.
On to Crime Watch. A Bighorn County man charged with causing the death of a 4-year-old girl is behind bars on a $1 million bond. 34-year-old Bridger Boyd faces charges of deliberate homicide and aggravated assault. Authorities say the girl was unresponsive when she was brought into the Bighorn County Hospital Monday morning. The Bighorn County Sheriff, along with State Child Protective Services, were alerted immediately after the girl was brought into the hospital and began investigating. Court documents allege Boyd admitted to Under Sheriff Foose that he slammed the child's head against a wall and struck her with his fist at his home near Busby several days earlier. Authorities say the young victim is an adopted child of a foster care family. Boyd and his wife had several foster care children in their custody. All have now been removed from the household and have been placed in secure alternatives. His charge of deliberate homicide is punishable by up to life in prison, the death penalty, or up to 100 years in prison. On to flood watch. After days of heavy rain, residents in Augusta, Montana are dealing with serious flooding that has nearly isolated the small town some 50 miles west of Great Falls. MTN's Jacob Fuhrer reports.
Wading through the floodwaters, Dwayne Nelson is left confused.
No one anticipated this.
On Monday, he was concerned about hail damaging his garden. Now he's dealing with a much bigger problem.
It's underwater by about 2 feet now.
His front yard now faces a river that was once Main Street. His basement flooded under feet of water. The pumps can't keep up. Even if they could, there's no power to run them.
When the water started coming up, I went and shut the main power off.
Nelson has been living in Augusta for 28 years and visiting the small town for even longer. This is the worst he's seen the flooding.
because I've been coming up here all my life. I've seen boats on Main Street twice, but I've never seen the water get back into this part of town.
What's more, residents weren't prepared for the water.
I think we all anticipated there was going to be some flooding over around the creek, because in the spring it's not unusual to get some flooding there. But with all this rains, we thought, well, yeah, it's going to, flood over there.
Residents uphill from Main Street, like Sandy White, are in relative safety.
We live 2 blocks off of Main Street, and we're okay yet. So I was just amazed at the way it is down there.
Despite the conditions, the community is coming together.
People here are resilient. Everybody's been out helping everybody else today. Hauling sandbags, as you saw, and helping your neighbor. Good thing about Augusta.
Neighbors say one of the most frustrating parts of this flooding is having to wait it out until it recedes and they're able to go in and survey the real damage. In Augusta, Jacob Fuhr.
Flooding is also a concern in the Helena area. The Lewis and Clark County Disaster and Emergency Services says both the Dearborn River and 10 Mile Creek are approaching major flood stage. The National Weather Service predicts flooding may continue through the week at 10 Mile Creek, and the Dearborn River has reached its highest level since the record flood of 1964, but is still about 3 feet shy of reaching that level. And in Missoula, the Clark Fork and Bitterroot Rivers are currently in action stage. Observation charts show water levels peaked early this morning, and they're forecasted to stay steady or drop over the next few days. Numerous streets in the area have closed, with as many as 15 homes affected. To help with statewide flooding recovery efforts, Governor Steve Bullock is now asking for a presidential major disaster declaration from FEMA. Since April, 21 Montana counties, 8 cities, and 3 tribes have declared flood emergencies. The governor issued a statewide disaster declaration in May. Bullock's office says the presidential disaster declaration would allow the state and counties to request federal funds to repair damaged infrastructure. Continuing our coverage, Granite County authorities say it was a Missoula man who drowned in a floating accident near Rock Creek this weekend. Sheriff Scott Dunkerson identified the victim as 71-year-old Alfred Tully. Tully's raft capsized in the Harry's Flat area of Rock Creek Sunday afternoon after it hit a log jam. A second person in the raft was able to make it to shore safely. On the campaign trail, the first poll in Montana's U.S. House race shows incumbent Republican Congressman Greg Gianforte trailing Democratic challenger Kathleen Williams by 6 points. Gravis Marketing, a nonpartisan research firm, conducted a random survey of 469 likely voters across Montana from June 11th through June 13th. In the House race, 49% polled favored Democrat Kathleen Williams, while Gianforte was favored by 43%. 8% were undecided. The poll has a margin of error of plus or minus 4.5%. The poll also asked voters if the election for U.S. Senate were held today, who do they favor? Incumbent Democrat John Tester was favored by 51%, while GOP challenger Matt Rosendale was favored by 44% of those polled. 5% were undecided. 51% of those polled were female compared to 49% male. The poll did not include Green Party or Libertarian candidates. In other political news, the top Democrat in the Montana House won't be running for re-election this year. Helena Representative Jenny Eck says her new job won't allow her enough time to continue as House Minority Leader, so she's stepping down at the end of the year. Eck starts a new job next month as Executive Director of the Friendship Center, a Helena nonprofit that helps victims of domestic abuse and sexual assault. Eck is a third-term legislator representing Helena's West Side. Eck says she'll continue to campaign for Democrats this year and is optimistic about their chances.
I do think this is a year for us to pick up seats. I think we are seeing a blue wave across the country, and Montana is part of that. So I anticipate that we will have a stronger showing this session. I'm very hopeful that we can make progress in terms of a fairer budget that actually benefits the people of the state, gives them some relief.
The Lewis and Clark County Democratic Central Committee will now pick someone to replace Eck on the general election ballot. Since no other candidate filed in that race, whoever is picked to replace Eck will represent that district in the 2019 legislative session. Well, before we take a break, summer is high season for Colorado's $2 billion recreational fishing industry. A disease in the water that's killing rainbow trout poses a threat to the entire species. CBS's Barry Peterson takes us to the banks of the Gunnison River to bring us the story.
Joel Evans has been fishing this stretch of the Gunnison River in western Colorado for more than 40 years. Like most anglers in these parts, for him, one species of fish is king, the rainbow trout. What's it like to have a rainbow at the end of this line?
Oh, they're fun. They tend to be more active, they jump more.
But in the 1990s, that fight shifted to one between rainbow trout and a parasite that invaded Colorado rivers. It causes whirling disease, an aquatic plague where young fish are deformed, swim in circles, and die of starvation. What kind of numbers and decrease did you see?
Literally a 10-fold decrease.
Ever since, Colorado Fish and Wildlife Manager Renzo Del Piccolo has been working to keep the rainbow trout alive through various breeding programs.
The rainbow trout is hugely important to this state.
How important? Is there a dollar number?
Fishing in general, it's estimated over $2 billion to the economy.
Scientists got a major break when they discovered a small, isolated group of rainbow trout immune to the disease in this remote part of the Gunnison.
Nice work.
Biologist Eric Garduño is cruising these waters where the immune trout were discovered, capturing healthy female fish and using them to breed tens of thousands of offspring that are also immune to the illness. They use this spindly apparatus to send a weak electric current through the water that attracts and then stuns the trout.
And then it's just up to our netters to be quick with their net and get those fish out of the water as quick as possible.
The process depends on touch and time. The touch for getting the eggs out of a female.
So usually it'll be about 1,000 eggs per female.
And the time, less than a minute, to use the male trout to fertilize the eggs.
The process of life is going at that point.
The fertilized eggs are brought to a nearby hatchery where they are cultivated and raised into healthy rainbow trout, ready to stock rivers all over Colorado. So with a little luck and a lot of science, they'll be telling fish stories here for decades to come. Barry Peterson, CBS News in the Black Canyon of the Gunnison River, Colorado.
Wildlife officials have seen a threefold increase in the number of rainbows since they started their latest breeding program.